your family owned a store.
The grocery store, yeah. Oh, that's great. Ice cream store.
Yeah, it was like kind of a general store, wasn't it?
Yeah, what would you call it today? A convenience store.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she had a ice cream bar and made Sundays.
And I got to lick all the...
This is right down on 51 next to the
51.
fire hall.
You've been there, yeah.
It's still there.
Oh, yeah, okay. A drink. You can get it dry. Gin and tonic.
It's right next to the fire hall.
Yes. I hope they keep that building there. It's been there a long, long time. Got pictures of it with what, covered with snow.
Yeah.
Yeah, from when snow.
Was that building there when they bought the building for the store and all that?
As far as I know, yeah.
Didn't you guys always have all the food you needed and all that because of that?
Yeah,
World
because
War
during the war because of that, we always could have butter and meat and gas.
They rationed
for the
food.
car.
They
Yeah,
rationed all this stuff.
sure.
So how did they ration it?
Well, they gave you coupons, so you could only buy so many. And I don't know how the coupons depended on, what they depended on. Certain people got more. And of course, my dad, working in a mill, would get so many, he would maybe be allowed to have meat a couple times a week. I don't know. But my Aunt Helen, being a grocer, and grandparents, they got enough for the store. So they got extra. They got extra gas to go get their orders and extra butter and, you know. So we did suffer through the war. Other than my Uncle Jay was in the service, and that was a big heartache to my grandmother and aunt.
What did he do?
He was a paymaster. He was over in England most of the time, and went to France for a while after. I think he didn't go to France till after the war was settled. But he was a paymaster in England. So I don't know that he saw fighting, other than they got bombed every night over in England, you know.
Yeah.
So that much I know he saw, but what else he did, I don't know.
You have one sister, right?
I have my sister Patty, who was born 10 years after me. It's a long time between babies, so we really never got close until we got older. You know, till about when you were born, when Harry was born, when Harry was a baby. After we got married, we sort of got.
Well, Patty
Well,
babysat for
I
us.
was never there, you know, when she was young. All she ever used to do that drive me crazy is run out naked and embarrass me in front of my friends, you know, when she was 2.
You said your mom got spooked easy?
Yeah. You remember about she was watching you and you got your finger caught in a tuna fish can.
Tell me about it.
And, well, my mother never opened the can all the way. Everything opened part of the way and the can went in the lid. Stuck in here. So, I don't know. I wasn't there. You stuck your finger in the lid and
Tried to pull it out.
and you cut your finger. And I guess she panicked, you know. I don't know how it came out, but
She panicked and called somebody.
yeah, probably Uncle Tom or Aunt Hannah or somebody to come get your little finger out of this tuna can.
All I had to do was push down on the lid and pull it out, but she didn't know that. She got too flustered.
I was probably screaming. Was I screaming?
I don't know, I don't remember that, but speaking of screaming, Harry was one of the best babies in the world. I never had any problem with him. One time, and you'll hear this from your Aunt Pat, we stopped in a store somewhere, and I went to run in the store, and you started screaming because I left the car. Now, that might have been the only time you ever did that. But Pat was there, and you will never live it down.
How old was I?
2, 3, you know.
Yeah, you never cried.
You weren't much of a crier. I mean, if you cried, but for some reason or other, you thought you were getting stuck in that car. I don't know why. I was just running in probably for bread and milk or something like that. And Pat was taking me. And, But I just happen to remember that because of something else that was said. But Patty, when after you were born, Patty, that's when Daddy was working for Holcomb. We lived in Uniontown, and he wasn't doing good at all. And we just decided at Christmas we had to come home and I had to find a job so we could eat.
You weren't making much money?
No. I was traveling 3 states and spending more I was making.
Yeah, he wasn't there, too. And we left Uniontown. We had to leave them our television, because we didn't have enough money for the rent.
Yeah.
So we had to leave them our TV. Then we came down and stayed with Mom. And I was lucky I got a job with Pittsburgh National Bank right away. And Patty was through school, and she wanted to go to beauty school. So we sort of arranged it. We'd help pay for her beauty school. And she'd watch you, and that's sort of what, till Daddy got established with bankers. That's when you went with bankers.
And I was making good money.
And then after that, so we were only with my mom about a month, or a couple months.
6 weeks.
Till we moved to Woodward. She had one there.
Well, you didn't always, I want to go back to Grandma and Grandpa. You didn't always live on Sawmill Run. You moved at some
Oh,
point.
yeah, well, when I was, I went, it says in there about schools, I went to St. Norbert's grade school, except for the 2nd grade, I went to St. Canice, because my mother wanted out of the house where my grandfather had been laid out. So they rented an apartment in Knoxville, and what's the name of the street? I forget, but it was. But anyhow, I went to St. Canice 2nd grade, made my first communion. 3rd grade came back. They bought the house on Fairland Street where I was raised.
Do you know the address up there?
Yeah, 2303. And that was when I was in 3rd grade. And I went St. Norbert's from 3rd grade till 8th grade.
And Patty was born in that house.
And Patty was born there, yeah. She was born probably the 1st or 2nd year we lived there. So, and my girlfriend Pat, her mom and dad, I met visiting her grandmother Flanagan, her mom and dad bought a house down at the end of Fairland Street, about a block away from us. So that's sort of how we became best friends all our lives. And it's interesting, Pat Flanagan Garrigan, birthday is January 27th, and my sister Patty's birthday is January 27th. So I got these 2 wonderful women.
So you went to grade school at St. Norbert's most of the time.
Every year except the 2nd year.
That was was it private then? Private
It
school?
was parochial school, yeah.
And your parents had to pay for that?
Very little. Paid for your book. The most important thing you had to do was, I guess, donate in the church.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted an offering if you could afford it. And in those days, a lot of people couldn't afford it, believe me.
Yeah, that's why I was surprised.
Yeah, but you had to buy your books. But they weren't new books. They recycled the books, so you might buy a book reader for 50 cents and a arithmetic book for 75 or a quarter, depending the shape of the book. And except sometimes if they changed a new book, then you had to buy the new book. But everybody that wanted to go to Catholic school got to go in those days. And we had the nuns, and I was never beat. I was never hit over the head. I only saw one kid in my life hit by a priest who deserved it.
What did he do? Who was it?
His name was Frank Palmer, and he had what you call graffitied the school and the church, which in those days was really
Rare.
unthinkable that somebody would do it. But they took him out of Catholic school, and his father was a policeman. Didn't feel that he should have been smacked, but he was smacked by the priest. I think like 3 or 6 times. I don't remember exactly. There was a certain amount.
Didn't you toss somebody over the hill once? Tell me about that.
Oh yeah. Oh well, that was when I was younger. Jerry Hinger, as I recall. He was such a little brat. And, oh, you know how bratty kids are around 10 and 11. Boys, especially with girls.
What'd he do?
I think girls, I don't know what he did, but whatever he did, it just made me mad, and I guess I threw him over. He lived on a big hillside, and it must have happened in his yard. But I don't remember why.
So what'd you do?
I just picked him up and threw him over the hill. I guess I went home to deny it or whatever. You know, not me, you know. I don't know.
Where, and this was at his house?
At his, wait, he lived 2 doors down.
Which way?
Well, you probably don't know, right? You go down towards the steps. There were stores lived there, and next to them was Hingers. And,
So if you're looking at the house, which way? This is the house on Fairland Street?
yeah, on Fairland Street.
So to which side?
To the left.
To the left. 2 doors to the left. Down the front yard?
Yeah, yeah, not in the front yard. But his mother worked. She mightn't have been home. I don't remember what she did, but I can picture her in my mind. She's a beautiful lady. So she mightn't have been home. Maybe nobody was home to take care of it, you know. And I
So
got
you
away
took
with it. And he had an older brother, Bowie, who gave me a little plastic ring once, who Pat was crazy about. He was older though. He used to hang around with what we would call the wrong type. People from this side of the hill. People from, in Overbrook, anybody from this side of the tracks, we didn't think much of. Brookline at that time, we thought was sort of, I don't know.
Second class.
Yeah, and I don't know why. We just, you know, our form of gang rivalry, only there were no gangs.
So where'd you go to high school?
Carrick High School.
It's still there.
Yeah, it's still there. And I did nothing. I just took a, what they call a commercial course or something. And that's why I was able to get the job at the Federal Reserve. It would take like the last semester of our senior year. The only other thing exciting I did in high school, I guess, was I like to be in the choir. I like to sing even though I don't have a voice. And so I was an alto in chorus. And in our junior year, we got to sing with the Pittsburgh Symphony, which, of course, Pat was in that too because she was a senior and she was also in chorus. So she had a much nicer voice than I did. And he's looking at the mailman. But anyhow,
What
that
did you
was
sing
quite
at-
a treat.
Yeah, what did you sing there?
Carnegie Music Hall, and not only all the city high schools. So it was a huge amount, and it was quite, you know, we had to do a lot of rehearsing. And
I mean, what did you sing?
what did we sing? And that's what, it's an Americana thing, and you think I can think of it. You know, like Stephen Foster tribute, and there was more than that. We did the Hallelujah chorus. It was sort of a variety of things. But the main thing was the Stephen Foster Americana tribute.
Yeah, and what are Stephen Foster's songs? They're like, Oh, Susanna, stuff like that.
Yeah, and what's the river? Isn't it terrible? Can't remember.
I can't remember that song.
Oh, Susanna, and there was other songs too of settling the West and things like that too. Stephen Foster, I understand, it was an alcoholic and sold most of his songs for pennies and nickels. An Irish drunk guy come over from Ireland. Irish drunk guy.
Your dad liked to drink now and then, did he?
Yeah, my dad was an alcoholic. It's a good thing I had my grandmother, my grandfather, and my Aunt Helen. They got me through my childhood because it wasn't the best. It was a lot better than some, but my grandmother and my Aunt Helen saved my life.
Her father drank a lot. He was an alcoholic.
And my mom drank too until about the time I had Harry. That made her really happy. Made her really happy.
Yeah, when you were born,
Until Angela come along. She loved Angela too because she was a girl. At last a girl.
Didn't Granddad put whiskey in your coffee or something?
Every time I went in, he would insist that I have a drink with him, and he put cheap whiskey in coffee, and I couldn't stand it.
What kind of whiskey was it?
4 Roses.
Oh yeah, 4 Roses. I can't tell you how many bottles of that I drained down the sink. Pints too. He used to carry pint. Pat Flanagan, Gary, and Pat and Rich used to live, after they got married, they lived with her grandmother on that house on Sawmill Run. And right beside it's a set of steps that come up, city steps, where Daddy would walk up from the bus or the trolley up to our house on Fairland Street. But he'd stop on every landing and take a little nip out of the bottle. And Pat and Rich would watch him do this from their window, you know, when they were living with their grandmother.